Hey, Cavs fans, welcome to another episode of the Cavs Pick and Roll Podcast, the podcast for diehard Cavs fans. Alex, I see you have moved into your new digs. How's it going?
It's going great. Yeah, I am. I moved into the new house. Sitting in my little man cave office that is still under construction a little bit. We're still kind of living out of boxes at the moment. So hopefully, eventually, I'll get some cool Cavs gear here to like hang behind me somewhere.
Definitely. That wall right behind you, I can just picture a nice big Cavs decal right there, like a logo or something.
A flag, yeah, something.
That would look real cool.
My autographed Kevin Love picture hang right behind
There
me.
you go. That could be on the other to your left over there. And the one question I got to ask though, because I'll laugh my butt off. I know you're still living out of boxes. Is the Bill Laimbeer card out already though, or is that still in a box?
The Bill Laimbeer card is here.
He doesn't know where it's at. All right. He is human. He's panicking. He's panicking.
Yes, I think I stuck it in here. Oh no,
it's not in here. You stick it in the Bible? Oh no, you stick it in.
Dang it!
He lost the card,
I'll
folks.
have to find it.
He lost the card. You're going to have to buy another one off eBay for $1.50. Sorry.
I might. I just might. It wouldn't hurt to have a backup. That's a great idea.
I'm surprised you don't just take over the market and you just buy every one that just always pops up on eBay. Just to say that you have them all and you control the market on Bill Laimbeer, Cleveland Cavalier cards. But congrats on the move. Yeah, you said you sent me a message today at work that you're starting to paint the house, and I was like, oh man, you got to get some wine and gold in there somewhere. But yeah, I know you got to run that by the fam, and that might be easier said than done.
Some wine and gold walls.
There you go. Make the ceiling tiles wine and gold or something like that. But congrats on the move, and it's been a couple weeks since the last time we met and talked. A lot has happened, obviously. But man, I am still hyped up, and I know you are as well, and a lot of Cavs fans are, over that Dallas Mavericks game that just happened in Cleveland this week. Man, where to even begin with this game, Alex? If I'll say this first, if you bought a ticket to go to that game, you definitely got your money's worth. You got to watch Luka go off. He was one rebound shy of a triple-double. I don't know if you saw that, Alex, but he had 45 points. What would he have? 45 points. Let's see, 14 assists and 9 rebounds. So, yes, he was one rebound away in 41 minutes of play. That's crazy they even have to play him that long. And then our old pal Kyrie. Kyrie actually played in this game. He played 39 minutes, gave you 30 points, kind of the old Kyrie that we were used to seeing here in Cleveland. So both of those two put on a show, Alex.
Yeah, they both played really well. It was a good, it was a good game. It was a good back and forth. They came out strong, and then we kind of took the lead heading into the half, and then they came out in the third and kind of punched us in the mouth. And yeah, it was a really good back and forth. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it really was. And I'm looking at this roster for the Mavericks. And sure, Luka's great. Kyrie can be great. And luckily, Tim Hardaway was kind of quiet. He seems like a guy that can go off on any given night. He only finished with 4 points. There's only one other player in double digits for the Mavs, and that's PJ Washington with 11 points. But yeah, just looking at this Mavs roster, it's kind of a weird hodgepodge of players, and then just Luka and Kyrie. But yeah, like you said, the Cavs were up early. Then it became a game. The Mavs pull ahead. And really where it got interesting was the fourth quarter. You want to give a little bit of a breakdown, Alex, of what kind of transpired, mainly those last couple minutes in the fourth quarter.
Like the last 5 minutes, they had a good solid lead on us. We were down by 10. And then Strus, he just caught fire. He hit 4 3-pointers in a row. And it wasn't just the 3-pointers. He was just... Strus became possessed. He was a madman.
He was all over.
He was pulling down rebounds. Yeah, it was fantastic. Couldn't believe it. He would get down court. They'd get the ball to him. He did another 3. Mm-hmm. The Mavericks called a timeout because they had to cool him off. And they they come back out, and Mitchell rattles off 2 3-pointers in a row. And all of a sudden, the Cavs are up by 1, I believe, or one, or they might have been up by 2 with like 2 minutes left or something.
Yep. And then the Mavs late with like under there was under 3 seconds left. One of the players for the Mavs hits a layup to take the lead, right?
Yeah, I think it was Washington. Yeah.
Was it Washington? Okay.
Yeah.
So it might have been Washington. He hits a layup, and that's after the Mavericks had already chucked up a 3. We basically didn't get the rebound. They got the offensive rebound. Washington gets the ball, makes a contested layup against Allen underneath the rim. I was kind of like, oh, are they going to call a foul on top of that? Luckily, they didn't. 2.9 seconds left. Strus has the ball, passes it into Mobley, who gives it right back to Strus, and Strus just pulls up from 59 feet like it was nothing and buries it. What was great about that was it was on Luka. Luka was defending, but not really defending, because it was one of those things where I get it. It's like you don't want to foul somebody in that scenario, and that's like a 1 out of 100 chance that that's actually going to go in.
Right.
But you were just saying right before we started recording, you go, did you see the picture of after it went in, the one Mavs player? Because the way the angle was of the camera, you see the hoop, you see the ball go in, and then you just see that player's face. I don't even remember who it was.
Markieff Morris.
Markieff Morris.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh man. And you're like, it's like it's all over like Reddit or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, like you were saying, like no one ever really defends those full court shots at the very end of a game.
No.
Right? I mean, it's like the chances of it going in are so slim. So Luka only gave like a half-hearted kind of, I don't even know if he really jumped. He just kind of
he kind of just did
waved
one of those
his arm up,
hand
threw his
raises.
arm up.
Yeah.
And PJ Washington was still like kind of celebrating his layup when it swished.
I saw a picture somewhere on social media of like him flexing after he hit the layup, like celebrating, like you said, to like his hands on his head, like in disbelief of what had just transpired. And what was amazing about that as well is, of course, it's at home, right? So the fans go berserk, but also the team reaction was just great. First, you have Karis LeVert chase down Strus and basically tackle him. He didn't mean to do it on purpose, but he was going to put his arms around him, ended up getting around like his neck and literally took him to the ground. And then the bench is running over and Strus just gets mobbed. And it was just awesome, just to see everybody's reaction and emotions to that. Then Mitchell and some other players come over and start dousing Strus with water bottles and stuff like that. There was just so many great pictures, GIFs, videos, memes, all sorts of stuff that's been created ever since that. And even you said it was like unavoidable to not see, like if you didn't watch the game, it was unavoidable for you not to wake up, the next day, which is this morning as we're recording this, and not see what happened.
And the fans erupted too. You could see everybody like within the first 5 rows, like starting to come into the court, like jumping up and down and screaming, and security was out there like trying to keep people off, holding everybody back and keep them off the court. The place was just going nuts.
Yeah, it was totally awesome. And I read today, and take it for what it's worth because it's the internet, so who knows. But I learned 2 things about that shot. One, it is now the second longest buzzer beater winner in NBA history. Supposedly, that was at 59 feet. The record is 61 feet, I want to say by Devontae Graham, something like that. Some name from a couple years ago hit a game winner at 61 feet. So that's pretty cool. But it is the longest in Cleveland Cavaliers franchise history, a buzzer beater winner, which makes sense. And what I was a little bit surprised, the previous record was a 30-foot shot made by Craig Elo, of all folks. And it's like, man, you think of all those years, LeBron was here, Kyrie was here, and it's like, nobody ever hit a buzzer beater to win the game past 30 feet because like 30 feet today is a 3-pointer, right? That's
Right.
nothing that crazy. So it's kind of, I thought that was kind of interesting to read that. And man, just what a moment, what a game. And just man, that's one that a lot of Cavs fans are going to remember, for year to
That
come.
whole last
Segment.
3 seconds of the game, just that whole, I've probably watched it 40, 50 times now,
Yeah.
just over and over and over, because there's just so many little nuances of what happens in those last seconds for the Cavs to win that game. Washington makes that layup, and
Yep.
it happens really quickly that Mobley grabs the ball, steps out of bounds. No,
Nope.
Strus grabs the ball,
passed it right in.
passes it to Mobley. No, you're
Yep.
right.
Yep.
Strus grabs the ball. Yeah, passes it into Mobley. Mobley immediately turns, passes it back to Strus. Strus grabs the ball. He's running down court. He dribbles the ball one time, jumps, heaves. It's just, wow. You could tell right away he was laser focused on making this shot.
Yeah, it was great, and even his reaction after making that, like the holy shit, you know what I mean? Just like, man, like I said, there was just it was all over social media, right? And not just in not just local, but at a national level. Just so many great pictures and things like that, and man, just a great game. And oh, by the way, Donovan Mitchell poured in 31 points. You got to see Jared Allen, pour in 19 points. So again, if you went to that game, you picked a pretty entertaining game to go to with some heavy hitter, scorers and offensive players, and Luka and Kyrie and Mitchell. But then, Strus coming through as the hero to basically get the Cavs back into the game late into the game, and then to hit not only the game winner, but in the fashion that he did. Man, it's got to go down as one of the best wins of the season so far, for sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I don't know if we'll have another entertaining buzzer beater 59-foot heave win like that.
Probably not.
Not this
Probably
season.
not. Yeah,
Not for a
probably
long
not.
time.
But yeah, so that was a big win. And actually, as we're recording this, Alex, as a lot of times as we record, the Cavs are actually back in action tonight. Second night of a back-to-back. They're in Chicago battling the Bulls as we speak. It's the end of the third quarter. The Cavs are up 81-78. So we'll definitely have to keep our eye on this as we record. But just looking at the box score real quick, Evan Mobley is leading the Cavs scoring wise with 23 points. Garland with 17. Mitchell's having an off night. He only has 8 points right now. So hopefully he can come alive here in the fourth quarter, and the Cavs can secure another win on the road against the Bulls.
Yeah, they're playing a lot of games in a real short amount of time. They just had a back-to-back the previous two games.
It really does feel like they're kind of compact lately, and maybe it's because of the whole All-Star break. But look at your boy Andre Drummond, 18 rebounds, 13 points. I know you secretly wanted the Cavs to trade for him back at the trade deadline, Alex.
Nah, I'm good.
Backup center, he would have been solid. I would have liked taking him.
Yeah,
back.
he'd have been a good backup.
He'd have been a good backup.
He always put up good stats, but I don't know. He never really was like a hustle guy. I mean, I liked him when he was for the Cavs, but
I liked him too. Gotta remember, we got him for peanuts, and he
yeah.
was solid. And really, I think the only reason the Cavs moved on was they brought in Jared Allen, which they also got for peanuts, and they had Evan Mobley by that point. So it was kind of just too many bigs here that there wasn't going to be enough minutes for. And I don't know. I liked Drummond though when he was here too, and he's been a rebounding machine this year, and he's doing that right now against the Cavs. So we'll see. They're up 86-78 right now, so we'll keep an eye on that game. So before the Dallas game, Alex, the Cavs played a familiar foe in the Washington Wizards out in Washington. What do you remember from this game? Anything stand out to you from this game?
Nothing in particular, I don't think.
The
Levert, I
Cavs,
remember Levert played pretty well in this game, which he's been struggling.
yeah,
The previous two games, he was definitely in a ice cold shooting slump. So it was good to see him back to his usual self, scoring some buckets.
yeah, he finished with 18 points, grabbed 12 rebounds, 8 assists, so pretty close to a triple double himself. He was all over the place, and the Wizards, the last time we played them before this game, gave us a game. Like, remember they it was a back and forth until the last couple minutes, and the Cavs pulled away late in the fourth. This game was somewhat similar to where it was a game. Washington was in it. They got up early, uh, in the first quarter. The Cavs kind of had to battle back in the second quarter, and then it was kind of back and forth, and the Cavs were again able to kind of pull away at the right time. But the Cavs had good, balanced offensive scoring this game. You had Evan Mobley, 21 points, Jared Allen, 22 points, Mitchell, 16, Garland, 17, Levert, 18. So that's, six players in double digits. And we've said it before, Alex, this team is always going to be hard to beat when they can get 5+ players in double digit scoring.
Oh yeah, we have so many guys that can score and score in different ways. So I mean, we got guys that score in the paint, guys with mid-range game, guys that can shoot the three. It's a well-balanced team. I think we're going to go far this season.
Yeah, it's hey, I wake up every morning and I still see them in the second seed. Last time we recorded, they were in the second seed, which was earlier this month. So it's not a dream, right? They're still there. They're still winning games. They dropped a couple games right after the All-Star break and even before the All-Star break, but they're still 7-3 out of their last 10 games, and they're still sitting in the second seed. Not with a comfortable lead, but it's not like someone's right on their heels. They got a couple games up on the Bucks yet. So, as long as they keep playing their brand of basketball and they have a game like they did against the Wizards, or on any given night, somebody can step up and be the hero, which the Cavs have a lot of different options on this team that can be that hero. They're going to continue to be okay. What's funny, Alex, is in this game, Max Strus finishes with 3 points in 27 minutes. So it's like night and day, right? Go figure. 3 points, horrible game to be in hero next game against the Mavericks.
Yeah. Strus has been a little streaky. He's either on or he's off, it seems like.
Yep. Real quick too, I forgot to bring this up, and I wanted to get your opinion on it. Going back to that Dallas game real quick. The Cavs did, I won't say a full-on tribute video for Kyrie, but they did put something up, on the Jumbotron, welcome Kyrie and kind of all that stuff. And the fans, from everything I saw and heard and stuff like that, received that very well. Like, for the most part, everybody stood up, clapped, cheered, so on and so forth. And that might not have been the same case a year or two ago, right? I guess I want to get your opinion as time has continued to go on, because like Kyrie's been a non-Cavalier for quite a while now, right? There's a lot of animosity on how he left, but is time starting to heal those wounds with Cavs fans and Kyrie and how they see them, you think?
Yeah, I think so. As time goes by, people will forget about like all the weirdness, right? And all that. I don't even
all
know
that happened after the Cavs.
Yeah,
all that
crazy flat earther stuff and
Yeah.
the other documentary thing that he was
Right.
on the hot seat about. And that, and I think the other thing that kind of helps like Cavs fans kind of be okay with it is that he hasn't really like gone to another team and won a ring or really established himself anywhere else.
Looking at this roster, it ain't going to happen in Dallas. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, the best version of Kyrie was the Cavs.
Absolutely.
When he was with the Cavs. So,
Absolutely.
if he had went to the evil Nets or, and won a couple rings there and became like a nemesis, I think it would be a totally different story. But, I think as time goes by, the fans will just remember him as winning the only championship in Cleveland.
Absolutely. And Donovan Mitchell came with some comments around that because, the whole jersey retirement in Cleveland and Kyrie thing kind of came up, and Mitchell basically said it's a no brainer, right? I mean, he helped contribute and hit the biggest shot that contributed to the only title in franchise history. Like it's a no brainer, and at the end of the day, looking back at it, you don't win that title without LeBron or without Kyrie or without both of them. Really, at the end of the day, right? LeBron's going to be the first one to retire out of that batch. That's a no-brainer, right? You give him a jersey and a statue, right? Which some people won't like. Too bad, deal with it. But then shortly after that, you're doing Love, who will probably be the next one to retire. Kyrie will be the last one to retire out of those three, and I think it's a no-brainer for Kyrie as well. He hit the biggest shot in franchise history, and that biggest shot got you your only championship. And even if the Cavs get another championship, it's that he got you. They got you that first one. So
Right.
I do think, as time goes on, and I've come a long way too, because I was pissed on how we left too, and going to Boston. We hate Boston, right? Freaking
Right.
Kelly Olynyk, right? Get out of here with that bullshit. And then he went to the Nets, where you thought that was going to happen because he's there with Durant and James Harden. Like, oh my God, he's going to go on and win 3-4 rings. That didn't pan out. And sure, he's with Luka, but they don't have enough out there. So it's like every year that goes on, his window, not that I'm rooting against him, but for his window to like win another ring or like have a second wind in his whole legacy and his career, I don't know. It's starting to look like, yeah, the best version of Kyrie's career so far was in Cleveland, and very well maybe that might be said when it's all said and done for his entire career. His best time was in Cleveland. It's when he was the most consistent, the healthiest, all-star appearances, not a nutcase, won a championship.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, is he really going to top all that in his 30s now? I don't know. I don't see it unless Cuban does something crazy and brings in a third star and they just go off. But I think time is starting to heal those wounds for Cleveland fans.
Yeah, I'd agree. I still think it's kind of a little early for tribute videos, but whatever.
I mean, Chetty got one, right? I mean, we hand those things out like they're participation trophies around here.
Yeah,
so,
I guess so.
I don't think Uncle Jeff Green got one though when he came back, and that's kind of BS because he was like the second best player in the 2018 finals for the Cavs.
Make a good point.
Yeah. Uncle Jeff gets no love, but Chetty, you get love, and Kyrie, you get love too, I guess. So I meant to mention all that before we went to the Wizards game. So before the Wizards game, Alex, like I said, they dropped the game against the Magic. They dropped the game against the 76ers. I don't really want to go back and talk about those games, but what kind of bothered me about the 76ers is they also played them right before the All-Star break, and they lost to them as well. And that was right after they made the trade to acquire Buddy Hield. And he went off, and the Cavs end up losing that game. But man, it kind of sucks losing twice to them within like 3-4 game period, and they didn't even have Embiid.
Yeah, no Embiid. Yeah,
so
that's the kicker.
That kind of bothered me. And I felt like that was a bad loss. The Magic loss, it's like, okay, whatever.
We should have won both those games.
We should have won both those games. I feel like we played the Magic like 6 times already this year. But the Cavs bounced back. The Wizards game, they won that game, which they should win. And then this Dallas game was a huge game. And if they could pull off this win against the Bulls tonight, they're right back in the driver's seat, 3-game win streak, and still in the second seed, and gets people talking positively again after they came out kind of flat after the All-Star break. And looking at just an update on this score, Alex, they are up 94-89 with just under 6 minutes to go. Evan Mobley up to 25 points now. So he's having himself a game. Mitchell's still at 8. 29 minutes of play, so not sure what's going on there. I wanted to ask you about something else too. And although this game, Wade's getting some minutes, but there's kind of been a trend a little bit lately. You could tell JB is starting to mess with that rotation again. All of a sudden, you're seeing your boy Niang get more minutes than Wade. Sam Merrill can't can't find the court. He hasn't played at all this game. I don't really think he played in a Dallas game.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that.
So
Merrill, man, he was shooting lights out, and now he can't get minutes.
now he can't get minutes. Craig Porter Jr. That feels like a year ago now.
They gave Craig Porter Jr. the big money, the deal, and now he doesn't get minutes.
Did we ever find out what the money was behind that deal?
No, I don't
remember seeing.
remember.
I just remember seeing it was a multi-year deal. It was a 4-year deal, and this is something that happened in between episodes since the last time we recorded. But I don't remember seeing what the money was anywhere. But yeah, he's not getting no run. Is JB starting to trim down that rotation for the second half of the year and ultimately start to figure out what? I mean, I don't know. It's still so far away though. His playoff rotation, I don't know. It just feels like he's favoring Niang over Wade right now, and maybe it's justified. Wade's kind of been struggling. But I know there's a lot of haters out there of the minivan as well.
Wade hasn't been taking any shots. Even when he's open, he hesitates. And
that's not good, though.
I don't understand it. Like I see him, like he'll drive baseline towards the basket. He'll have there's the layup opportunity is there, and he'll pass it to the corner. It's like I understand making the right pass and moving the ball around, but Wade it's like he just won't take a shot. I don't understand it.
Yeah, and one of the worst things, and not saying this is what it is, but if you're in the NBA and you have no confidence in yourself, you're not helping the team out in any way, right? Because you're passing up shots, you're not contributing elsewhere. He played 9 minutes in the Dallas game, gave you 2 rebounds. Niang, on the other hand, took no shots, right? Niang gave you 21 minutes, gave you 10 points, 5 rebounds. That's obviously way better production than what Wade gave you, even though Niang got double the minutes. But if you just look at the last couple games, that's been the trend. Niang's been getting the minutes. Wade has not been getting the minutes. So, we talked about that before. At some point, someone's minutes are going to get cut. Think about what potentially can happen when Tristan comes back. I don't know how many games we're into that 25-game suspension. We're probably not at the halfway mark, but we're probably we got to be pretty close to the double-digit mark, right? Maybe we're already at 10, 11 games since that happened. And before you know it, he'll be back. So what happens when he comes back?
Jeez, I had totally forgotten about Tristan, man.
Yeah,
just in memory.
We're basically going to get him back. If you do the math, probably sometime, in March, right? Probably in the second half of March or so. At least it feels that way. It feels like there's been a ton of games already played since he's been gone. So, it's just, is it JB just trying to figure out what his rotation is going to be, knowing that guys like Craig Porter Jr., he's a young guy. He's not going anywhere, let him to kind of continue to develop, in practice and learning from the veterans and stuff like that. Merrill, I don't know why he's not playing, but it just feels like JB is trying to find that rotation for the rest of the year. And unfortunately, some guys, minutes, they're just not there anymore.
Man. Yeah. It's kind of given me flashbacks to last year when we came out of the All-Star break and JB started messing with the rotation and giving guys minutes that didn't get minutes all season. And and we just came out kind of sluggish. We were really hot going into the All-Star break last season, just like we were this season. And then we came out and we're cold. And it feels like that kind of happened a little bit. That's happening a little bit again. It's not like we've added a Danny Green this time, but it's come on, JB, don't mess with a good thing.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, what happens here. And we all know, not that we want this to happen, but an injury happens and all of a sudden, there's capable players to fill those minutes if for some reason minutes became available. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but I'm keeping an eye on this Bulls game. Just under 4 minutes left. The Bulls just hit a 3, so it's 97-95. So this feels like one of those games that's going to come down to the wire, and most likely is going to finish, while we're still recording, so we can at least take a quick look and see how the Cavs finish there. you had mentioned Alex, the All-Star break and last year and all that stuff. And we dropped the first two games, after this year's All-Star weekend. And yeah, it's a little bit ago now in the past, but kind of just wanted to get your just some reactions, some opinions on how All-Star weekend went. Of course, Donovan Mitchell represented the Cleveland Cavaliers in both the three-point contest and the game itself. But man, what were some of your takeaways, highlights, if any, criticism, if any, of All-Star weekend?
Thought it was kind of trash, Corey.
Yeah.
The 3-point contest, like I was hoping Mitchell would do better. He didn't do very well. And
I'll say this. It was cool that he was there,
yeah,
but I don't think anybody really thought he was going to actually have a shot. So it kind of also felt like a wasted opportunity for a Cleveland Cavalier representative. All of us wanted Merrill. Supposedly Merrill was invited and said no thanks. Again, I still don't know if I still feel like Mitchell, that's just him sticking up for his guy. It was cool that he wore the Money Mitchell jersey. Did you see that? And he had his number on it. That was pretty cool. But yeah, Mitchell stood no chance, right?
Money Merrill.
Yeah. I don't even think he made it out of the first round, if I remember correctly.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, and Damian Lillard wins it for the second year in a row, which, that is, I guess, somewhat impressive to do that. You don't really see people winning three-point contests multiple years in a row, unless you're Mark Price back in the early 90s, who was the last one to do it for a Cleveland person, at least. But yeah, I'm with you. The three-point contest was kind of disappointing just because Mitchell wasn't able to do much.
Right. The Steph Sabrina 3-point contest, I actually thought that was entertaining. Like it was actually close. Yeah, I enjoyed that.
It was. What did you think about? Did you get to catch any of the Rising Star game? Because Bates, it was he was a last minute addition, but he actually got to play in that game. I don't know if you saw that or not, but that was Friday night.
I saw very little of it.
Yeah, and the way they do the Rising Star game now, it's like a mini tournament. There was 4 teams, and the first round is 2 teams playing against each other, and then the winners of that basically play in the finals. And I turn it on, and of course the first game wasn't the Bates game. The Bates game was the second game. So their game didn't start till almost 10 o'clock. And he was on the same team as Mac McClung, who won the slam dunk contest last year, ends up winning the slam dunk contest again, by the way, in 2024. Yeah. So you don't see that happen very often. And I was like, all right, I'm going to stay up and watch this. And they ended up winning it. McClung had a great game. They knocked off Wembley, Paul Gasol's team. They had Wembley from San Antonio and a couple other nice players. So that was kind of an upset because basically it was like a G League team that Bates was on. Bates finished with 5 points, had a block, grabbed a couple of rebounds, nothing crazy. But in those games, Alex, they play to a certain score. They played to 40 points. Yeah. So first one, it's like the Big Three league. We haven't talked about Big Three in forever. But you play to a certain score, and then the game's over. So they advance. Unfortunately, they got blown out, though, in the next game. And I didn't see Bates really do a lot. But it was cool that Bates was able to sneak into All-Star Weekend. That might have went under the radar for a lot of Cavs fans. But you can go back and watch that and see any highlights and all that stuff. So what else kind of caught your eye, or what did you think about the actual game itself?
The game itself was terrible, Corey. It was just garbage. It was a whole bunch of dudes just kind of trotting up and down court, just not caring about anything in the world. Just no defense. No, it just wasn't super stupid and boring. That's what I got to say about it.
211 points. First time in history that an All-Star team scored over 200 points.
What a waste of time. And I got my kids to come down and sit and watch the game because I was like, this is all the best players in the NBA. Get excited. It's the best players going against the other best players in the conference. You know, it's like getting them all hyped up to watch this basketball game. It was not a basketball game. It was so disappointing.
Yeah,
Like I would not waste my time watching it ever again.
yeah, and that's really been like the consensus since then. Like there's just they just the players have been getting ripped ever since then, on a national level. And I've seen a lot of fans say that too, like that was a waste of time. I'm never going to watch it again. Of course, there's always going to be a fan base that will watch that stuff, but man, I I didn't get to catch any of it. I was out in California for work, time difference, and just work, so I didn't really get to watch it. But I was thinking about it after I learned and kind of saw highlights and saw people's breakdowns of the game. Thank God Jared Allen didn't make it into the All-Star game because, and yeah, he made it in last year because of the injury and stuff like that. And not that last year was anything to scream about, but they didn't score 211 points. But like, think about Jared Allen's game. What the hell would he have done in a game like that? He doesn't shoot threes. Like, he could dunk on people. Like, the only thing I would have liked if Allen would have been there, it's like, would he have tried to block somebody just to be that guy? Like, that would have been cool because you didn't see that from anybody else that
Mm-hmm.
played. And yeah, just what a disappointing game. And it's funny because since that game has happened, my my previous All-Star game from like the 90s and 80s, like in my social media feeds have gone up because everybody's look at how it was then versus how it is now. And I go back and watch that, and I'm watching like Shaq, Hakeem Olajuwon, Patrick Ewing, David
Yeah.
Robinson, all in an All-Star game together with Jordan, with Stockton, with Malone, with Barkley, and they're all hacking each other. They're actually shooting free throws in the game. It's like, yeah, it's just night and day from what it was to what it is today, and it's unfortunate, man, because probably like you, Alex, and a lot of Cavs fans, if you grew up in the 80s or 90s, you used to look forward to that because it was
Yeah.
a competitive game and with the best players in the game. It's
Yeah.
just it's
Used to
just a
be.
shame. It's just a shame. So, but yeah, I'm glad Jared Allen didn't make it because he wouldn't know what to do in a
You
game
know, I'd
like
just be standing under the hoop
that. Right,
doing nothing.
right.
Nobody would even pass him the ball. I
Nope,
bet
nope, nope.
he probably wouldn't walk down to the other end of the court to play defense. So I mean, it's just what's the point?
What's the point? And Mitchell, I think he finished with like 9 points. He had like one play that I remember that I saw in the highlights. He like took like a 1 footer kind of 3 pointer from like a logo or something like that and nailed it. But besides that, didn't really do much more. And I'm kind of glad because at least it's like our guy didn't like try to go off for 40 points in a pointless game. I think Carl Towns Anthony finished with like 50 points or something like that. And again, Damian Lillard, this was his weekend, I guess. He wins the MVP. I think I heard he scored like 39 points or something like that. So, um, disappointing,
Yeah.
disappointing to say
Yeah,
the
it was
least.
terrible. It was
Yeah,
absolutely
just
dreadful. It
really, really
was
bad.
so so disappointing to get my kids down there to watch it and then it just be so bad and it's like I'm trying to get my kids into watching NBA games with me and then this is the product you put
Yeah,
out.
that's a bad game to pick. Cavs game will be different because there'll be effort at least, but an All Star game, I
There
get why
was
you attempted that, but yeah, that was a bad one.
there was one part that was kind of cool. I can't remember who the two players were, but they passed the ball back and forth all the way down the court so they never had to dribble it.
Okay,
Did you see that?
I didn't see that. No.
It was funny.
Oh man, Cavs Bulls just ended in regulation, tied at 103, so they're going to be going
Oh,
to overtime. So hopefully the Cavs
nice.
can squeak out a victory here. Um, Last thing I'll say, I was watching like a Stephen A. Smith reaction. You know how he gets all crazy,
Yeah.
and he's like, God rest his soul, but these NBA players are lucky that David Stern is not alive still to see this because he would have done something to make them pay. You know what I mean? Or like make them have to play. And he's like, what an embarrassment for Adam Silver, and you know how are they going to fix this, and so on and so forth. So look at the cat. The cat is back, man.
Oh man, he's being so loud. Could you hear all that crying that was going on?
I didn't hear it.
There you go. He's a talker, man. He does not
Yeah.
shut up sometimes.
I was just telling you, I used to hear him in every episode, but I haven't heard him in a while. So, so the last piece of Cavs news that I think we wanted to cover, and we'll still keep an eye on this Bulls game. We'll see if it ends here. But the Cavs, Alex, have announced the 2024 Wall of Honor inductees. And pretty cool. I think, Alex, you said you've seen this in person a couple times, right? Some of the games that you've gone to. So the Wall of Honor, and I don't know if this is something that other NBA teams do or not, probably, but this is a way to appreciate Cavs players from the past without necessarily retiring their jersey, right? Like there's some players on the Wall of Honor that have their jersey retired, like Mark Price, but this is a way to honor that next tier of players that was still made an impact in franchise history, but may not get their jersy retired, right?
Yeah,
so
and not just
pretty
players
cool
either. It's pretty much anybody that's impacted or been a part of the Cleveland franchise over the years that's made an impact.
Yeah, definitely. So do you want to kind of walk through who was inducted, or do you have that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big one that was inducted that caught my attention right away was Terrell Brandon.
Absolutely, man.
1991 to 1997, selected with the 11th overall pick in the 91 NBA draft. Two-time All-Star.
Yep.
It's just a fantastic Cavs player.
The last time we talked about the Wall of Honor was a little while ago now, right? Because they only do this like probably once a year or whatever. So it's been a little while since we talked about it. But I remember on whatever episode number that was, we were talking about, who would potentially be that next batch. And one of us, probably me, I remember us talking about Terrell Brandon. And so happy when I saw his name. And I've said it before on the podcast. I grew up in the 90s, right? So Terrell Brandon, I was a little bit too young yet to appreciate the Mark Price and Brad Daugherty days and all that. It was right after those guys kind of went away and Terrell came in and started to take over once the Cavs moved Price, to where I really was old enough to be able to pay attention and appreciate Cavs basketball. And Terrell Brandon was my favorite Cavs player for that whole stretch he was basically here. I still have his jersey, you know what I mean? And just, I couldn't be happier to see Terrell's name on there because he's definitely deserving of being on the Wall of Honor.
The next up was Chuck Broski from 1970 to 2024. Man.
Not a name a lot of Cavs fans are going to know, but
54 years. He was the stat crew chief.
Yeah, he's still doing it to this day.
Team statistician. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's been there since the very first Cavs season. And just think about that for how long that is. So, like you said, the Cavs, don't just honor players with this. And sure, that's not going to get Cavs fans excited, right? But it's just pretty cool because outside of, if this wasn't, announced and you kind of didn't get to see his backstory, you probably would have no idea who he is unless you worked in the organization. And it's pretty cool that this is how the Cavs are deciding to pay tribute to him. And that's just a long time to be doing that. Like that's impressive.
That's amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Who's the next one?
We had Jim Chones, 1974 to 1979. He played in 400 games over 5 seasons with the Cavs. Averaged 14 points, 9.5 rebounds per game. He was part of the Miracle of Richfield team.
Yes. And he's now, if you listen to, Cavs basketball on the radio, maybe while you're out running errands or going out for the night, and you're just, listening to the game for those few minutes before you go do whatever you do, Jim Jones is a familiar face, or not a familiar face, I should say, familiar voice, because he's been part of the Cavs radio broadcast team since 2010 now. So he's doing color commentary, and has been, it's always cool Alex, I always like when a former player of a team always ends back up with the team in some capacity after their playing days. And usually it's somewhere in the broadcasting, like Austin Carr, like Brad Doherty, how they brought him on, and like Fratello last year. Like I always think it's cool when they bring those players back. And again, Jim Jones was way before our time, right? But he was a very solid player, great stats, a lot of games, 400 games. I did a double take on that, and part of that Miracle Richfield team. So definitely worthy of being inducted onto the Wall of Honor for the Cavs.
Next up, we have Mike Mitchell. He was drafted as the 15th pick in the 1978 draft by the Cavs. He averaged nearly 20 points in 3.5 seasons in the wine and gold. Competed in the 1981 NBA All-Star Game at Richfield
At
Coliseum.
Richfield Coliseum, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Mitchell's one of those guys, and if you look too, I want to read up some more on him. He passed away in 2011 at the age of 55, so pretty young. But anytime I see anything come up on Mike Mitchell, which isn't very often, right? But what I always see was that he could score the ball, right? And you just read off he averaged nearly 20 points in 3.5 seasons for the Cavs. So that's putting the ball into the bucket. And like I don't know what I would find on YouTube as far as like highlight videos or stuff like that, but I want to see some. I want to see some stuff on him. I want to see some clips on him because I believe he had decent size as well. So I'm just curious what his game was like and how he averaged those 20 points. Was he a shooter? Was he constantly getting to the rim and finishing at the rim? And just I don't know a ton about him besides that he was a scorer. And I want to learn more about Mike Mitchell just so I can have that appreciation for him.
Yeah, it's a name that I'm not very familiar with, so it's pretty interesting to hear about him and all that he did.
Yeah, totally. So pretty cool. And I don't remember when it might. I don't know if it already happened or not. But basically, there during one of the half times of a game in Cleveland, these players will be officially inducted and honored and all that kind of stuff. So that's pretty cool. That'll be another good game to go to if you can get to that game. And really love that the Cavs are doing this, and certainly hope that they continue to do this moving forward. Any initial names that jump out at you, Alex? If you had to pick one to be the next one to be entered, is there anybody that jumps out at you?
Oh, geez. Man, I don't know. I can't. I'd have to see a list of who already's been in it.
So previous inductees include Wayne Embry, Bill Fitch, uh, John Johnson, another player from the '70s, Nick Maletti, another old player, Hot Rod Williams, World B. Free, Gordon Gunn, Campy Russell, Lenny Wilkins. And what's interesting here is that first batch up to Hot Rod Williams were inducted as members in the 2019 class. World Be Free, Campy Russell, Lenny Wilkins, they were inducted in 2022. So it almost feels like this might not be an every year thing because it would be weird that they would just jump from 2019 to 2022 without mentioning the in between. But let's just go off of that's the only ones that have been inducted so far. And maybe that's not true because I did see Mark Price on there as well. But it is hard to think of somebody else. I'm trying to think too who would be good.
I did find that the Wall of Honor, they will be inducted on at the game on March 10th against the Brooklyn Nets.
Okay, so that's coming up yet. It hasn't happened yet. That'd be a good game to get tickets to. It'd be a cool
It's
experience.
also a city edition night, so they'll be
Ooh,
wearing the fancy jerseys and the pretty cool court.
there you go. There you go. I wonder if I had to throw somebody out there, and I don't know, I'd have to go back and look. I always liked Mike Fratello as a coach, and he was here for quite a while, and pretty positive. He had more wins than losses. I don't know all the criteria as far as what accolades are needed in order to qualify for this, but from a coaching standpoint, Mike Fratello could be one of those names. I could see that eventually makes it on there, and I'd be pretty happy with that. Um, Player wise, man, I'm having a hard time.
Yeah,
Having a hard time.
Ron Harper.
We're sorry we traded you for Danny Ferry.
Sean Kemp.
Now we're gonna honor you. I would love Sean Kemp to be on there. Always Sean Kemp and Terrell Brandon are two Cavs players from the '90s. I will stand on my hill. Sean Kemp was a lot better than what fans remember he was here, and Terrell Brandon was one of the best point guards in the league at one point. And I wish there was a time where both of them were paired up together. But Sean Kemp would be a good one someday.
J.R. Smith.
Yeah. So there is 13 seconds left in OT. The Cavs just hit a free throw to go up 3, 115 to 112. I'm not watching the game. I'm watching the box score. So we'll see if the Cavs pull off this victory. Mitchell is up to 13 points. Darius Garland is up to 23 points. Did you see, Alex, how Mitchell kind of came to Garland's defense? Because I guess there's been some criticism of his play of late.
Yeah, I did see that, especially when they came out and lost those 2 games without Mitchell right after the All-Star break.
Well, he's having a solid game tonight. 23 points. He's having a better game than Mitchell.
That's good. It's a different offense when Garland's out there without Mitchell. I'll say that.
For sure.
Mitchell really pushes the ball. He's always very, score first. Garland's kind of trot down court, pass it around, see what we can get. Tries to do some floater towards the hoop.
Or jack up a 3 when the ball swings all the way back around to him. Yeah, exactly.
Mitchell definitely dominates his will more than Garland does. I'll say that.
Absolutely. And LeVert, who had been struggling a little bit lately, and we talked about that, man, he must be all over the place tonight because he has 14 points, 14 assists, and has grabbed 7 rebounds in 34 minutes. So he's having a great all-around game. And you have Isaac Okoro pinching in 13 points off the bench in 24 minutes as well. So game must be a timeout right now because the score hasn't changed. But Alex, anything else more on your mind, Cavs related? While we tried to see if the Cavs sneak out this win.
I'm still thinking of people we can add to the wall of honor. What about Wesley Person?
Nah. I mean, I like Leslie Person, but
Bobby Phils.
Bobby Phils, actually. Let's look up Bobby Phils' stats real quick.
Ricky Davis, man.
Ricky Davis.
Gerald Wilkins?
Maybe.
Brevin Knight?
Probably not. No. Andre Miller?
Larry Hughes? Drew Gooden, man. Drew Gooden.
I'm looking up Bobby Phil's stats real quick.
Who was the other forward they had alongside Drew Gooden?
J.J. Hickson? Come on. No. Andy. I know you're not an Andy guy.
Not an Andy fan.
I know. So, Phil's 6 seasons in Cleveland. Remember, Cavs fans, the Cavs acquired Bobby Phil's. This is almost crazy to think about. By signing him to a 10-day contract. And then he played 6 seasons after that 10-day contract with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Legend. So in those 6 seasons, he played 334 games. His career average is 10.5 points and about 2.5 assists and 3 rebounds per game. So nothing crazy. That's a pretty long tenure with the team. Couple seasons he only played, he didn't play full seasons. His first year only 10 games, second year 31. Maybe there was an injury. But then after that he played 70 plus games for the remaining 4 seasons. So again, I don't know what the Cavs are all kind of using as their qualifications, but maybe. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. It's not gonna happen, Alex.
It's not gonna happen.
The Bulls hit a 3 and they're going into double overtime.
Oh my God.
It's not going to happen. God. We're not going to come up with enough material to talk for another 15 minutes.
Gosh, I can't believe it.
Man, we got to go turn on this game. That's what we need to do. We need to end this episode and go turn on this game.
I can't think of anything else to go over.
Yeah.
All-Star game. Mac McClung won the slam dunk contest. It was all everybody was clowning Jaylen Brown because he was just doing regular in-game dunks. So that was kind of funny. It was all pretty bad.
Yeah.
The All-Star Skills Challenge.
I heard that was horrible.
Yeah, the first round picks was one of the teams, and they were just kind of clowning around, not taking it seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just nothing good about the All-Star festivities, really.
I heard the celebrity game was more competitive than the actual game.
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
I didn't watch either, so I don't know.
I
But
play more competitive basketball in my driveway than the All-Star game.
Against the kids, yeah.
Against my shadow.
Right. All right. Well, we've gone far enough, Alex. Let's go ahead and wrap up this episode of the Cavs Pick and Roll podcast. Want to thank you, Cavs fans, as always, for tuning in and listening. And Alex, you want to let them know where they can follow us and connect with us.
Follow us on Twitter at Cavs Pick and Roll. Shoot us email, cavspickandroll@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram, Tumblr. Wherever you're listening, click like, subscribe, leave us a rating or review. We'd appreciate it.
All right, Cavs fans, there it is. We will talk to you again soon.
Peace out, Cavs fans.